All right, what's up, everybody? 1212 and a place to be. I am Frank Red. How you doing out there? This is another edition of the In the Dungeon program. It is a pleasure and an honor to be live with you on air to talk about sports and life and whatever else might intersect during our conversation. But primarily, we're going to talk about sports, and we'll get into that. You might notice a little more exuberance in my voice because I've been under the weather for a little bit. And finally, things on the look up. I had a sore throat, but I was determined to come on air tonight. A lot has happened over the past 4, 5, 6 days. And nothing more topical than the Golden State Warriors before a national audience playing against their nemesis, I guess, to a certain degree, the Boston Celtics, a team who they defeated in the 2022 NBA Championship Series on Boston's home court, I might add. And Boston came out with an attitude, and they wanted to make a statement, and they made a statement. Big them up for that. I'd rather have a championship, to be quite honest, than a regular season game that doesn't really matter that much. The Warriors won on their home court a couple of months ago, and Boston did the same, although in emphatic fashion. They were awesome today. They defeated the Golden State Warriors 140-88. I didn't check the record books, but is this the worst loss in the history of the Golden State Warriors by the numbers? Possibly. I don't know. Doesn't really matter that much to me. It's one loss. It's one win. The Warriors had a very successful road trip. They won 3 or 4 on the road. 500 would have been decent. 3 out of 4 wins, you're ecstatic. 4 for 4, and Steve Kerr is rerouting the private jet to make a trip to Vegas before landing in the Bay Area. But they lost today by 50 points. And it might surprise you, but I'm going to tell you today, wherever you're listening, why Steve Kerr is a brilliant coach. And his brilliance was on display today. And I'm sure you've listened to a lot of shows where there's been a lot of doom and gloom and people were upset because the Warriors lost. They didn't play that well. What's happening with the Warriors? Today's game was a glorified fact-finding mission. That's all it was. The Warriors were down 44-22 after the first quarter. Game over. History. And Steve Kerr knew that, and he didn't want to give up any more intel to the Boston Celtics because you know what? He's confident enough and arrogant enough to think that this Warrior team can make it to the championship once again this year. And if they play against Boston again, he wanted to make sure that he didn't give them stuff to prepare for. And yet, he and his assistants were meticulously taking notes on the Celtics. And Joe Mazzulla, in his youthful exuberance, gave him a whole lot to bite on, to chew on, to prepare for. And you still might be saying, Red, what the hell are you talking about? Well, let me say this. First and foremost, Steve Kerr did not play any zone today. The zone defense has been a weapon for the Golden State Warriors this year. They didn't play any zone. You know why? Because they know that a zone defense against the Boston Celtics will do several things. Automatically, it decreases the number of offensive possessions that a team has. So you're taking time off the clock. It isn't the free-flowing offense that you saw today. So that's number one. Number two, and then we'll get into it, but Kurt already knows that Wiggins can play Jaylen Brown or Tatum. Not stop them, but they won't be free-flowing like they were today. Excuse me. Going on the premise that Wiggins comes back. We assume he will. We don't really know. Wiggins is a difference maker. He also didn't really unleash GP2 today. He could have done that. He did not extend his defense at all, which is another weapon. And Draymond Green allowing Jaylen Brown, a bona fide all-star, to essentially go to the shooting gallery at the local county fair, taking pop shots at the rim is ridiculous. But they did that, and Jaylen Brown showed that, I can make shots. So from a defensive perspective, that's what I saw. From an offensive perspective, we already know that Boston's Achilles heel is high pick and roll offense. Go back to 22. When the Warriors changed the texture of that series, it's because they scrapped their pass-oriented timing offense, and they went more to a traditional NBA offense running high pick and roll because Boston couldn't stop it. What it also did was it put the ball in Stephen Curry's hands, right? And his man got picked. So that's how he got freed up. And these passing offenses where you have a bigger defender, he's holding Stephen on the wing, it's harder to get open. If the Warriors play Boston again, they're going to be playing a mixture of their standard offense and a high pick and roll offense. And beyond John Stockton, they might have the best pick and roll point guard in the history of basketball in Chris Paul. Make a mental note if these two teams play again. With that said, Boston played fantastic basketball. They are the most talented team in the Eastern Conference. Porzingis didn't even play. Are they the toughest team? I don't know about that. Will they win the Eastern Conference title? I don't know. Because playoff basketball is about adjustments. It's about confidence. It's about toughness. It's about savagery. Are the Boston Celtics willing to become savages when they need to be? Now, we got a couple of people listening to the program. What I want you to do is hit me in the chat or make a statement and tell me who on the Boston Celtics do you think you want to be in an alley fight with, figuratively speaking, as it relates to basketball? Because that's how you win. The 48-12 regular season record. When the playoff starts, it doesn't mean anything. The Warriors are only interested in doing one thing if they can. They want to get the 6th seed. If they get the 6th seed, listen, they got a shot. They really do. Now, From the Warriors' perspective, what did I see? Individually, Jonathan Kuminga played his worst game in a month and a half to 2 months. He was god awful. And the reason why he was so bad is because his ego got the best of him. And I wrote something down in my notes, and I don't have to look at it verbatim. But essentially what I said was, you don't play against your opponent. You play against the standard that you set for yourself. And Jonathan Kuminga wanted to prove to a national audience and the Boston Celtics that he has arrived. But guess what? Boston's pretty damn good. The guys who you're playing against are all-stars. And I'm going to tell you, check this out. Because I don't lie. I mean, I've lied before, but generally speaking, I try not to lie. This is what I did when I was preparing. Jonathan Kuminga was so bad today that I started thinking to myself, I said, well, without looking at the stats, what is his plus minus? The number that I came up with was a minus 30. When I looked at the stats, I kid you not, he was a minus 30. When you're a minus 30 plus minus, you are god awful. And he was. He was playing 1 against 5 against the Boston Celtics. Kerr recognized that. And what did Kerr do? What did Kerr do? He took him out of the game and he didn't put him back in. Another brilliant coaching move. And I'm sure he addressed it a little more personally at halftime. But Kerr was brilliant in that. Now, and I was okay with Jonathan Kuminga. He's a young guy. He's learning. The guy has grown by leaps and bounds, maybe the most improved player in the NBA. But this was a lesson that he learned today. And hopefully he's going to take what he learned today and apply it in the playoffs or moving forward because they need him. Calm down, dude. Everybody see you. You don't have to show the world how good you are. Everybody knows. Relax. Let the game come to you. You're not always going to have great days. It's okay. Relax. Now, a bigger disappointment to me was Lester Quinones. And I always say this. I said this about Brandon Podziemski also. If I don't root for you, I won't even mention your name because it doesn't really matter to me. I'm rooting for this guy. This guy's from Queens, New York. An undrafted kid from Queens was essentially a third or fourth option on Memphis. You know what his plus minus was today? A minus 37. If you are a reserve player and you have a minus 37 plus minus, you should never touch an NBA court. You know how bad that is? That's horrific. And again, is he that bad a player? Absolutely not. Is he a good player? A wonderful reclamation project by the Warriors? I think so. But today was a bad sign. And today was not, this was not the type of tape that you want to put in front of Steve Kerr, who is so meticulous, who is so old school. If Lester wants to have a career, he can't have many more days like this. This was terrible. Minus 37. God awful. And it's really about just like going out on the court, trying to do things that you can't do. That's all it is. That's all it is. So, those are the things that I saw. The Warriors' problems, challenges are fixable. And it was a regular season game. I purposely didn't listen to any post-game shows, radio shows, because I don't want to hear people whining about nothing. Nothing. It was a fact-finding mission. That's all it was. The fourth game of a 4-game roadie, and you've already won 3 games? Come on, y'all. Now, Andrew Wiggins. A lot of people, for what I understand, people have much larger platforms than I have. Apparently, fans are banging on Wiggins, and they're frustrated, and they're mad, and this and that. I get it. But this is not a basketball story. It's not. This is a story about, I think, humanity, to be quite honest with you. You know, being able to remove him as an athlete and just simply view him as a human being. Whatever he has got going on, all you can do is just support him as best you can. To be mad at him, to be upset with him, and have no idea what he's dealing with, it's asinine. It's unintelligent. It's beneath who we are. Now, we would all hope that he would come back and play basketball because he has a job. And we don't know what the contract language is or any of that stuff, but most of us have jobs, right? If we're out for a specific amount of time, at some point we don't make the same salary anymore. We make a portion of our salary. And I'm not saying that should happen to him. I'm just saying that, like, if you want to look at it from a human perspective, there are outcomes that occur. I don't know what his are. But when people look at Andrew Wiggins and this issue in its totality, intelligent people or just reasonable people start to put the dots together. There's nothing wrong with that. That's reasonable. What is not reasonable is for people to say, I shouldn't know what's happening. Because no, you don't have a right to know. You don't. Or to be mad at him. That's not appropriate. But he does have a job. You know, what are the ramifications of being an employee? My man Mark Graves said, could Wiggins be bipolar? Sure. Is he? I don't know. But in my life, I've worked with all different types of people. And the minute that you think that you have people figure it out, that's the minute that you're wrong. Same goes for me. I really have like social anxiety. I really do. I don't like being around a lot of people. I don't. If I'm there for a reason, it's all good, you know. But if you just put me in a crowd of people that I don't know, I have really no reason to be there. Like if I go to a concert, the last place you're gonna find me is up front, close to the stage. I'm in the background. I've always been like that my whole life. I feel most comfortable in space, not up close around a bunch of people. Don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. I think maybe growing up in New York, where I've seen crimes and shootings and robberies and all that type of stuff, I am always aware. It doesn't matter where I am. The second that I get on a New York subway or BART or I immediately put my hands in my pocket where all my belongings are. I'm just on edge. That's just me. I don't like to hear gossip. So, people kind of gossip sometimes. I don't gossip. I stay away from gossip. I don't have a lot of friends. The friends who I have, I'm really close with. It's amazing to me that I can still build close one-on-one relationships. I love that. But you know how somebody who has a lot of friends? How could you have a lot of friends? I don't. It takes a while to build close relationships. I actually feel closer to some of the people who are watching me right now than I might feel I might feel towards someone who I'm in good physical contact with. That might be strange to you, but it's not strange to me. There's a connection. We don't know what's up with Andrew Wiggins. We don't know. And my thing is, I want people to raise their level of consciousness, be more sensitive. One of the most beautiful things is to actually feel compassionate about other people's pain and their journey to the extent that you act. To the extent that you act. And I'm gonna give you a perfect example. Good friend of mine, Jody Bacon, is a star up in Sacramento, media personality. Jody and I have known each other for a long time. She went on X and started this campaign for Scott Pollard, former Kansas Jayhawk, Sacramento Kings player. I've never seen the guy when he wasn't smiling. Now, all of us would assume that he has millions of dollars, right? So we know that he's made millions of dollars. How much money he has, none of us really know. But the backstory is Scott Pollard just got a heart transplant, right? Was in the hospital for months waiting for a transplant, And by all accounts, the surgery's gone well. There's pictures on the internet of him, standing up. I think he's even out of the hospital now. But Jody Bacon put a GoFundMe, I don't know what you call it, a GoFundMe account for Scott to pay for his medical bills. It's probably still up there. So if you are listening to the program now and you want to give a donation to Scott Pollard, you can find it. You guys are pretty savvy. But you could give money and be anonymous or put your name there with a message or whatever the case. I gave some money anonymously. And I only bring it up now because of the context of what we're talking about. Feeling somebody else's pain, being a part of their journey. Why? Because I had compassion for him. Does he have millions of dollars in his NBA pension? I don't care about that. It doesn't matter. The existential benefit that I felt being a little gnat, a little small morsel of his journey to help him, make his life better. That's enough. That's enough for me. I feel the same way about Andrew Wiggins. Some of you might not know the history of Andrew Wiggins' family. I'm not going to get into it, but his dad has some challenges in the NBA. I'm not even going to say what they are. You do your own research. But this is a guy who has been a success story. But his life hasn't been all peaches and cream. So whatever his journey is, that's his journey. Let's show some compassion. And then the Warriors might have to make a business decision at the end of the year. Such is life. Nobody feels sorry for the Warriors. They won 4 championships. You kidding me? Still putting a very good product on the court. You could talk about when it's going to end, but I'll wait, because right now it's still pretty darn good. So I've taken the time because the fact that people would bash this guy without even knowing what he's dealing with, none of us do, it's sad to me. It's like, what's going on in your life? That this is so damn important that you're going to dehumanize him? I'm glad I'm not a fan. I'm so happy that the only thing I'm a fan of, it was 2 things. I was a kid. I'm a fan of my mother and the Knicks. And and I can talk about the Knicks. They had a terrific win tonight. I love what they're doing. But I'm a fan of my mother and I'm a fan of the Knicks. I'm a fan of my mother for this reason. She did something that I still talk to her. Mom, how the hell you do that? My mother was 16 years old with 2 kids. Are you kidding me? That she had to feed every day. And she found a way to do it. Never blamed anybody for our conditions. Never killed any dream that I ever wanted, that I aspired to. Never killed any activity that I aspired to be a part of. Worked 2 jobs, 16 hours for 8-9 month intervals. Unbelievable woman. I'm a big fan of hers. And the Knicks. But I'm not delusional. I'm not a delusional Knicks fan. But part of the Knicks culture, the culture that I know has always been, you got to play hard. I can appreciate the grit that the Knicks historically have played with, and certainly the team they have now are emblematic of that. It's not by mistake that Dante DiVincenzo is a part of that team. One of my favorite players who played for the Warriors last year. Talk about tough. Talk about selfless. Great player. So, yeah, man. Hopefully you guys were able to kind of take in my, I don't know, was it a diatribe? I don't know. My diversion, if you will, away from sports. I love when sports and life intersects. I love that. But if you want to talk about the Warriors, talk about any NBA team, it's all good. Hit me up in the comments. I want to thank everybody who's listening. I appreciate y'all so much. But yeah, Lester Quinones, I think that was the biggest disappointment of me today, because James Robinson, I thought he played his ass off. You know, the former BC All-American first-round pick who is holding on a two-way deal with the Warriors. He came out there and played phenomenal basketball. He looked like a professional player. And he must do that in practice all the time, which is why he's wearing a Warrior uniform. Very impressed by him. I also want to talk about the 49ers. I think they did the right thing. Hiring Nick Sorensen, promoting him internally, who was the team's defensive pass game specialist and nickel cornerback coach. Talk about a promotion. So, Jesus, you go from being the nickel coach to the defensive coordinator? Wow. Great to have friends in high places. And they brought in Brandon Staley. They backdoored him, the former head coach of the Chargers, who got his bones first as a defensive coordinator of the LA Rams. He did a phenomenal job with them. So, but I'm going to tell you why I think that they did the right thing. It might get a little touchy, by the way. Glenn Docious, my guy. My boy Moody is finally getting run because of his play. We may not miss Wiggins too much. Thanks for checking in. You know how I feel about Moody. Love Moody. And yeah, Moody is showing that he might be more than just a quote role player. He looked fantastic. Athleticism, jumper. He looked like a guy who could average 15, 16 a game. And I didn't know he could do all that. I'm happy for him. He's not the perimeter defensive player that Andrew Wiggins is. So you don't get better by not having Andrew Wiggins' defensive presence on your team. So I would disagree with that, but I am ecstatic, that Moses Moody is getting an opportunity to play. The most professional 21-year-old that I've ever seen. I can't wait to meet him, because I'm going to tell him, say, dude, I have gained strength from watching you. I admire you. You're a role model to not just people your age, but all people. Because forget about the average person. Most people could not deal with what he's had to deal with as a professional athlete. Does everything right. Never really says a derogatory word against the organization. Attitudes on 100. Always supporting his teammates. And oh, by the way, the rookie comes in, has a horrible summer, and by the 10th game of the season, he's getting all of your minutes. No knock on Brandon. He earned his minutes. But at the expense of Moses Moody, I don't know about that. Kerr made a decision that starting and playing Brandon Podzinski was in the best interest of the Warriors. But it was an arbitrary decision. It was not definitive by any coarse imagination. I don't think. I think Moody's play has proven that. People like Moses Moody. Great role model. All right. I want to get back to the 49ers on why I think they made a good move, or the right move, promoting Nick Sorensen. I don't think race was a factor. Because a lot of people want to go, well, race, oh, he's white. Steve Wilkes is black. White the black. No, I'm not saying that. Culture was a factor. Understanding black culture was a factor. Knowing how you have to communicate with black men was a factor. My perception of Kyle Shanahan is he's passive aggressive. It's just my watching him, I think the guy's passive aggressive. That's it. I think he likes to have everything around him fit to his likings. He wants to feel comfortable. And that's not always coaching. Coaching is being uncomfortable at times. And I'm going to say this. This is a big year for Kyle Shanahan. Because he's shown that he's not comfortable being uncomfortable. There was a way that you have to communicate with a Steve Wilkes. I've never seen Steve Wilkes smile in the press conference. That dude's buttoned up, man. I watched 25 Larry Krueger short videos of him interviewing Steve Wilkes. He always gives a great professional answer, but this is not playtime. This is serious stuff. And that's how he is. And I think you got to deal with him like that. What I didn't like was Kyle Shanahan, after he fired him, he had to go into how Steve Wilkes was a great human being. It had nothing to do with his football. He's a great guy. Why? When Brandon Staley got fired from the Chargers, did they go to some diatribe talking about what a great guy he was? That it's not, no. So what that does is it opens up the window that maybe there was something there. As a critical thinker, that's how I process things, because we had heard nothing to say that he was nothing other than a great guy. SG, what's up, brother? Thank you, man. I'm doing fantastic. I love watching your channel. Well, thank you. Thoughts on Caitlin Clark surpassing Pistol Pete Maravich for the all-time NC2A scoring record? I'll get into that. That's one of the topics I'm going to talk about. I'm talking about the 49ers right now. So I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I don't like how the whole thing went down. I don't think race had anything to do with it, but culture definitely has something to do with it. Definitely. And I'll even personalize this conversation because I love basketball. I think that I have, not now, but I think I had the potential to be a head college basketball coach at the Division I level. Based on my coaching, my work ethic, my knowledge, my history, I know I could have done it successfully. The players who I've been around, are you kidding me? Mark Jackson? Billy Donovan? Are you kidding me? I have more than enough knowledge to coach on that level. But one of the things that I saw early on as a young person, unless you're in the right situation, there can be a level of disrespect that is kind of a part of that culture. I'm not the person you can disrespect. The same energy that I give out, I gotta receive. Because that stuff affects you. It really does. And it doesn't have to be that way. And all coaching experiences are not the same. But I think respect among men and people is important. It might take longer to get the message across or whatever. I'm okay. I've been a head coach 4 times. There's no person who's ever worked with me, who I've hired, can ever say that, you know what, Red disrespected me. No, because it's important that it doesn't happen. Sometimes in that culture, it's fair game. And if you can kind of suck it up and deal with that crap, then you stay. Other times you don't stay. All for the ultimate goal of getting your own head job, if you will. I'm not, I want to earn mine like everybody else, but I'm not going to feel less than to get a job. Are you kidding me? I feel the same way about money. You know when I'll start worrying about money? When they start putting money in graves. That's when I'll start really caring that much about money. When they put you in the grave and they put your, whatever your net worth is, they put that in there with you. Otherwise, it don't mean anything. It means nothing. Mark Graves says, just a curious question. Could or would you have played under Bobby Knight? Wow. I'm going to say, ultimately, yes. But knowing Bobby Knight, he probably would not have recruited me, or he would not have been patient enough with me to get to the tough stuff. But if he was, then yeah, I think I could have. My coach, who's a father figure to me, Tom Penders, Hall of Fame NC2A coach, the guy who basically is responsible for the University of Texas program having a successful basketball program over the past 30 years. Tom Penders started that. Is a true lover of Bobby Knight. He loved Bobby Knight. So a lot of his coaching philosophies were crafted from watching Bobby Knight. He loves Bobby Knight. Disciplinarian and all of that. Coach Penders and I, it wasn't easy at the beginning. It was hard. And it was hard because he was not only coaching basketball, but he was developing a young man who had not had a father. You know, when you have a dad and your dad blows his gasket and he says mean things to you and you're pissed off, and then he comes into your room, or you guys go out back and he puts his arm around you, hopefully, and says, I love you, you're able to deal with it. I never had those experiences. So it took longer for me to get to the meat of what the mean message was saying. And, you know, I don't know if Bobby Knight had that level of patience. I don't know. I think Coach K was the second iteration of Bobby Knight. So, Mark, I think from a basketball perspective, I think I could have played for him because I was real tough. I was a tough player. I love the physicality of basketball. I was a physical player, and I was smart. I really know the game. And those are two things that you have to embody if you're going to play for Bobby Knight. You got to be smart and you got to be tough. Hopefully skilled. But, I think skill-wise, that's not as important. You can't make mistakes and you need to be tough. So I think, I think I could have. Particularly looking at the teammates who were going through the same things that you were going through. So, I don't know if it would have been fun early on. Maybe win a championship and stuff like that. Wasn't good enough to play at Indiana, that's for sure. But maybe some of his other stops. Great question. Thank you. Any other questions somebody might have, please feel free to chime in the chat. I want to go back to the 49ers again because I was thinking about this. Remember when Deebo Samuels was going through his contract stuff with the 49ers? And literally in 5 seconds, he had wiped away all of his 49ers social media stuff. What's the word they call when they get rid of all this stuff? They wipe it away. I don't know. Can't think of the word right now. That said to me, these loving relationships that are promoted in the media, they're not true. It's a business. It's a job. They like each other. They love winning. But it's about something else. With Deebo, it's about money. So this one happy family, I'm saying, is very combustible. And, okay, so you got rid of the defensive coordinator. Got a new tandem in there this year, Sorensen and Staley. 49ers are on the clock. Otherwise, they're going to be looking to make some more moves. Because I don't see how getting rid of Steve Wilkes brings the team closer together. I don't get that. Anthony Lynn is not there again, I guess. I guess Anthony Lynn has moved on to Washington. That might be just because of opportunity. This is another former head coach, black former head coach. You want that guy just to walk out of your building? SG says, I didn't agree with the 49ers. DC Wilkes was fired, and race shouldn't have been brought into the picture. Who brought race into the picture? Who did that? And if so, what was the context that race was brought into the picture, SG? Because I think it's ridiculous. Cal fires a coach because he's black? Come on, man. Nah. Not in a million years. I don't believe that for 1 second. It's about winning. But it's about culture. It is about culture. It's about black culture. It's about white culture. It's about Latino culture. It's about Asian culture. You need to be a person who is comfortable with everybody. Not, I need people to come onto my side to be comfortable with my culture. No, that's not how it works. That's a failing process. Mark Graves says winning culture. Absolutely. And winning culture, in essence, is everybody's culture. It's why I have no doubt that Jim Harbaugh is going to be a hit in Los Angeles with the Chargers. This dude played for the Bears. Are you kidding me? He gets culture and he brings everybody in. And, you know, all great coaches do. the Andy Reids of the world. I mean, even John Harbaugh, the Super Bowl winning brother of Jim, he gets culture. It's not all about you. It's not all about your feelings. I think that's, hey, man. Ronnie Lott was one of my favorite football players. Bill Walsh. I admire the 49ers organization. This was not good. This was a mark on the 49ers. How the season ended, and then what I think was scapegoating of Steve Wilkes. And then explaining that, oh, he's a great guy. He's a wonderful guy. He's a wonderful guy. What was that about? The total number of black head coaches declined from 7 in 2017 and 18 to 3 in 2019, 2020, 21 after Jackson, Wilkes, Bowles, Joseph, and Marvin Lewis were fired simultaneously. Wow. Thanks for the research. Appreciate you, brother. It's a tough crowd. There are people that think Mike Tomlin should be fired. I don't sleep a lot, so I listen to a lot of, sports talk radio in the middle of the night. And you would have thought that Mike Tomlin goes 3-13 every year. Well, they want to get rid of that guy. Crazy. I'll be interested in getting some comments from 49er fans out there. You agree with me or disagree with me, it doesn't matter. But I know you're out there. There's some big 49er fans in this area. Wanted to touch on what SG had opened up. Caitlin Clark, who I'm even a bigger fan of hers now because she's a fan of my favorite women's player of all time, Maya Moore. Love Maya Moore. I heard Maya Moore talk today, and literally it's like poetry listening to Maya Moore. Maya Moore, to me, she's the most graceful women's player God has ever created. The way she runs, she doesn't run, she gallops. What a beautiful runner. Her jump shot, her mid-range jump shot was like Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Ray Allen. I'm talking feet aligned, elevation, release point at the apex. Maya Moore was that woman. 4-time WNBA champion, 2-time NCAA champion. Let's not even talk about what she's done outside of basketball. And she's Caitlin Clark's idol. That elevates my support of Caitlin even more. So I'm very happy that Caitlin broke the record. I'm very happy that she's going to go to the WNBA and be drafted by an organization that I think is really going to support her, and she's going to be outstanding. And a couple of weeks ago, Cheryl Swoops, the legend, one of the great legends of the women's game, was asked on a talk show about how she thought that Caitlin would do in the WNBA. And essentially she said, eventually I think she's going to be a good player. That's what she said. But she said right away, I don't think she's going to come in and just go off and be like a out of the box hit. I don't think she's going to do that. I disagree with Cheryl. But there's nothing wrong with Cheryl having that opinion. What was wrong was the legend Cheryl Swoops didn't have her facts right. She intimated that Caitlin was going to break the record because she might have had like an extra year of eligibility because of COVID. And that was absolutely false. Caitlin Clark has broke the all-time scoring record in 4 years. Pistol Pete Maravich set it in 3 years. But Caitlin did it in 4 years. And just that statement alone just kind of like puts a little, feels like hate. Maybe it was just not having the facts straight. But it could come off like a little hate. And I'm going to say this. Shel Swoops is awesome. For those who got a chance to watch her play in the WNBA in college, wow, what a player. How can you not be a little jealous and then check yourself and go, you know what? What am I jealous about? But the inclination of jealousy, when the league's been in existence for 20 plus years, if it wasn't for all of these great ladies sacrificing for decades, the young bucks like Caitlin Clark, the young lady at LSU is about to get paid. Cordosa, South Carolina's gonna get paid. The young players today in the WNBA, the Brittany Grines of the world, the Diana Taurasi's, the Sue Birds, although they made good money. But a lot of players have not made great money. But that's about to change now. And I'm happy that it's changing. But I don't see how, as an older player, maybe with not many opportunities, you wouldn't feel a little jealous. I think NBA veterans feel jealous. To see guys signing contracts now for $300 million. How do you think Dr. J feels? I'm sure you just kind of laugh. Dr. J signed a contract, 6 years, $6 million, and we thought the world was changing. Jaylen Brown signed a contract for $315 million. Luka and Jason Tatum are going to sign contracts for what? $350 million? Frank, you should watch soccer. I do watch soccer. I do. Not religiously, not a big time fan. I have players who I like to see. My favorite soccer player right now is Garma, the defensive player for the women's soccer team who went to Stanford. Love her. She never makes a mistake. What I want to see, and I don't think the WNBA is there yet, get Mark Graves in here. Maggie's contract, $1 million a year for 25 years. Yes. And they call it a lifetime contract, Mark. Wow. We've come a long way, right? Yes. I want to start to hear some conversations about how, as the WNBA continues to evolve, makes more money, how can some of the veteran players get a piece of that money? Like the NBA, because some of these young ladies are getting to the age where healthcare is really expensive, dental, life insurance, burial insurance. I mean, come on. Come on. I want to see that happen because, I mean, they are the foundation. Just like the Bob Cousy's, the Havliceks of the world, the Bill Russells, the Walt Clyde Fraziers, the Earl Monroes, the Don Nelsons, all those great players, the Phil Cheniers of the world, they should be taken care of. At least health care, maybe a little pension, I mean, you got to make money to be able to do that. But hopefully I'm alive long enough to see that happen, because the women's game now has just skyrocketed. And it's actually more lucrative to be in college than it is to be in the professional ranks. I mean, Don Staley, if you go by public announcements, makes what, $3 million a year, maybe even more than that, and deserves every penny of it. Probably underpaid. But that's not the case in the WNBA. I'm still shocked that a WNBA coach can make $1 million a year, but a player can't. That's crazy. That is bananas. All right. I went to the movies and I saw a movie that I can't see any person listening to me not liking. It was that good a movie. The movie is called Ordinary Angels, starring Oscar-winning, the great $1 Million Baby, Hilary Swank, and also Alan Ritchson, aka Jack Reacher, Amazon Prime fame. I didn't know he had it in him. Dude is giving me rock vibes. Seriously. I mean, he's 41, so he's not like a youngster or anything. But I think this movie is going to blow him up. Alan Ritchson, I think is going to be a big-time star. The story is a true story that took place in Louisville, Kentucky. And without giving things away, essentially the movie is about how, and I'm doing this affectionately, this crazy woman rallied people from all walks of life to help save this young girl's life. It's a human story of great triumph. And what it shows is that when the will of the people is strong to do something that is unquestionably good and right, it can happen. Kind of like the Scott Pollard deal. You know, when everybody's moving in the right direction to do something that's bigger than ourselves, it can happen. And that's what this movie is about. I'm not a crier. I wish I was. Some people cry, you know, all the time. I don't. I wish I did. But I even had a couple of tears coming down my eyes in the movie theater with a big fat smile. I was so happy. Was so happy. Check it out, man. Check this movie out. Ordinary Angels. You watch this movie, don't like it, man, I'd like to give you your money back, man. Up to 3 people. I don't have a lot of money. Up to 3 people. SG says, my favorite soccer player are Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Pele. You really went out on a limb, huh? Good for you, SG. But yeah, that was my weekend. That's my thoughts on the Warriors. That's my thoughts on the 49ers. Big week for the Warriors. Got some tough games. They play Milwaukee. They play the Bulls on Thursday. They play San Antonio 2 or 3 times in the next week or so. They're getting better. This was a tough loss. I disagree with you. It might have been a little embarrassing, but tough loss, I disagree. It only counts for one loss. They won 3 games on the trip already. So, I disagree. All right, everybody. My name is Frank Red. This is the In the Dungeon show. I want to thank everybody for checking me out tonight. Follow me on X at Big Frank Red. Check out my new single, Where I'm Supposed to Be. On YouTube, just go to Frank Red. It's going to pop up. I got 4 songs out there. Appreciate all your support. And subscribe to the show. Hit the like button, man. We should have at least 1,000 subscribers now. At least 1,000. And I do a bad job of promoting, so that's on me. I need y'all to help me out. Bebop Jones. Great show, Red. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, I'm going to do my thing, get out of here, let you guys get ready for the week, and I will do the same. Success and getting paid is a manifestation of the whole process. If you as an individual don't do things to help other people make their lives better, as far as I'm concerned, you haven't done nothing. All right. I'll check you guys out in a couple of days. Until the next time, peace.